In the age of modern masculinity, men seem to be caught in a bizarre emotional tug-of-war. On one side we have fear, often directed at the evolving role of women, the shifting balance of power, and most significantly, the fear of castration. It's not a literal, physical fear but a symbolic one, a primal dread of losing one's masculine identity, one's power, one's authority. The other side of the coin is aggression, an impulse to assert dominance, often in the form of hostility toward women or other perceived threats to their status. This castration anxiety, in a Freudian sense, isn't just about physical loss. It's about the fear of being emasculated, of being reduced to something lesser, insignificant. Freud famously explored this in his psychoanalytic theory. He argued that castration anxiety is a key element in male development, representing a fear of losing power and control. For Freud, the fear of castration was deeply rooted in the unconscious, representing a broader societal conflict. The tension between the need to assert one's masculinity and the ever-present risk of being cut down by others, whether through social status, physical vulnerability, or in the modern era, the shifting gender dynamics. This fear manifests today in the form of men retreating into the comforting realm of online porn, preferring the safe, risk-free environment where no such emasculating danger exists. Why engage with the complexities of real-world intimacy when there's an entire industry that caters to this primal need for control and dominance over women, where all the risks, emotional labor, and complexities of human interaction are reduced to a simple, predictable click? But what does this tell us about the modern man? Enter Nietzsche, who might argue that this fear of castration is really a symptom of something deeper, a crisis of will, the will to power. Nietzsche famously contended that many men are driven by the desire to assert control over their environment, to dominate both nature and other human beings. In the case of castration anxiety, it's not just a fear of physical loss, it's the fear of losing the ability to assert one's will, to be reduced to a passive, impotent state. This is where Nietzsche's philosophy collides with the modern fear of emasculation. The very existence of castration anxiety is proof of a deeper crisis within the individual, the failure to transcend the limitations imposed by societal norms and to fully embrace one's own power. Enter the contemporary figures like Trump and religious zealots, who often champion a return to more rigid traditional gender roles. In this narrative, men are driven not only by fear of their own impotence, but by a desperate need to regain control. They attempt to reinscribe ancient power structures, where women are subjugated, controlled, and reduced to mere tools for male fulfillment. For them, the act of taming or dominating women is not just about power, it's about reclaiming what they fear they've lost, their masculinity, their potency, their sense of being the unquestioned masters of their domain. This drive toward control is eerily familiar to Hegel's master-slave dialectic, where one side of the equation seeks domination over the other in a relentless cycle of power struggles. The modern man, influenced by a mix of fear and aggression, might see the subjugation of women as a means to reinstate an old order, one where his fears are quelled and his will is once again made supreme. It's a desperate grasp for security in an age where everything seems in flux. However, the question remains, will this return to tradition actually work in the 21st century? As we've seen from history, attempts to impose such control often meet with resistance, and society's underlying currents are unpredictable. Much like the philosophers who pondered human nature, the modern man's fear of castration may be just another sign that his will to power is no longer enough to navigate the complexities of a world that has, quite frankly, moved beyond the old binaries of domination and submission. Perhaps the answer lies not in domination, but in understanding. Understanding that true power comes not from control, but from partnership. As Nietzsche might argue, the true Übermensch does not dominate others, they transcend the need for domination altogether. Until then, men caught in the grip of fear and aggression may continue to act out of their primal anxieties, chasing the illusion of security in a world that doesn't promise it.